gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Porcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 the lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Oklahoma International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons. Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the final round of the Alpha Touring Challenge, season number 8. We are here today in California for the race at Laguna Seca for the final round. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight, 1080p, 60 frames a second, as we gear up for what will be another exciting race here tonight. After last week's race, it was action-packed at the Hockenheim Ring. This week, here at Laguna Seca, it will be even more challenging, at least in my opinion. Drivers currently underway with with qualifying, getting those tires prepped and ready to go, getting their first laps in of the day, and we will see who will put themselves at the start of the field, or at the front of the field, I should say. For the start of today's race, we will have both the sprint and feature race layout. 20-minute sprint followed by the 30-minute feature. And at the moment, we do actually have some winners already being announced here already. So, right now, Mike De Almeida has clinched the Delta Championship title, and he will hold that position even despite any positions gained or lost here today. Now, moving on to the Team Championship, Team Yellow Flag Motorsports is the one to currently hold on to the Team Championship, and Team Yellow Flag Motorsports consisting of drivers Robert Adams, Connor Acatella, Logan McKenzie, and Eric Statzer will come away with the Drivers' Championship, and a very hard-fought championship here as well. At least, well, for some teams here for Yellow Flag Motorsports, it's been quite a dominating season for themselves, and hopefully going into next season, future seasons, that teams will be able to find some way to fight back and really bring themselves into contention for that championship moving forward. But for the Alpha Championship, that is where things get a little bit different, with Micah Hendricks sitting at 514 points in the lead, putting Logan McKenzie in second with 478 points. For Micah to clinch the title here tonight, he needs to score at least 29 points between both the sprint and the feature race here today, and that could be as simple as placing 6th or better in the feature race. So with that being said, Logan McKenzie is going to have a lot ahead for himself here tonight, as well as Edward Gorman, who only sits 6 points behind Logan McKenzie for that third place position in the Alpha Championship. So these three drivers are all going to have quite a doozy here tonight. And if I'm not mistaken, all three of these drivers are here tonight, and that just means that we are going to have one interesting show for ourselves here today for the final round, for the final race of Season 8 in the Alpha Touring Challenge. It has been a very exciting season all season long, and folks, I hope that everyone has been able to catch the action throughout this season, as we've enjoyed covering the action as much as we've been able to. Even despite the hiccups that we've experienced here, at least for myself up here in the booth, it is just great to be back into the groove of the action and be able to be back in covering the action as per usual. Logan McKenzie currently sitting at the very tippy top of the qualifying board, as he currently holds on to a 132.089, and only a hundredth of a second behind that, we have Francois Schink, the 18 driver, currently sitting in that second place spot. 0.2 of a second behind the leader, Edward Gorman, currently sitting in that third place position as well for the Drivers' Championship, the Alpha Championship, if you will. Edward Gorman is going to be looking to have at least the best starting positions that he can possibly muster here today. So drivers like Edward Gorman, Logan McKenzie, Micah Hendricks, all three of these drivers are really going to be looking for the best possible times here going into the start of this sprint race. Now, Micah Hendricks, as it was mentioned earlier, as I just said a little bit ago, he only has to score 6th place or better going into the feature race. So he could also kind of play this a little, well, he could do a little mind games with this, if you will. So if I'm not mistaken, the top 8 are inverted, and that will mean if he can put himself in the right place, well, theoretically he could start at the front of the feature and just come away with the win. Now, I don't think that would be the strategy that you would want to take necessarily, but that is a strategy that is, well, open. And given Micah's performance, not only throughout this season, but in the past few races that we've seen here, I don't think Micah is going to have too much issue pulling off any position of that matter. And even if he does start somewhere a little bit further back, I don't think he's going to have too much trouble working his way back up. Logan McKenzie is also another driver, a strong driver in the field that I do expect to put on a solid performance here today. And given that we are here at the legendary Laguna Seca, again, one of the most, I would say, probably the top 5 most technical tracks on the iRacing service, it definitely has its place in that group of tracks, if you will. And frankly, it tests a lot of drivers, both new and experienced. When you're pushing all the way to the very edge, this track can definitely eat you up and spit you right back out if you are not careful. Tire management, tire temperature is going to be a critical thing to manage here today. You are going to want to make sure that you're not getting your tires too hot, you're not burning that rubber off too quickly, because you're going to need that grip to make it through a lot of these very dusty, very tight, curvy, bendy turns that really make this track what it is, and especially, as everyone knows, the dipper that is right in the middle of the track here as well, that we all know and love. I'm trying to remember if it's actually called the dipper or if I'm confusing it for the corkscrew. That's what it's called. I'm confusing it with Bathurst, but either way, we are close enough here, and at this moment, Micah Hendricks holding on to the lead with a 130.350. We had Logan McKenzie up there at the top, but now he is going to be the one in the chase to get back up there to that to that lead spot. But even starting up in the front row in that second place position, you can still make it work, but given where we are, not exactly ideal. Looking at some other drivers that we haven't really talked about yet, Jason Landry, the number 5 driver, sitting at 3rd at the moment with a 130.996, just over a 10th behind Logan McKenzie at this moment. Francois Schink sitting in that 4th place position, a 131.179 here for the number 18 driver. As he comes across the line, Edward Gorman moves himself up to the 2nd place position, and Edward Gorman, as we know, sitting in that 3rd place position for the Alpha Championship. He is going to be looking to have good points here today, and even starting at the front of the field and having the best chance possible to stay out here in this very short, at least in racing terms, 20-minute sprint race. You definitely don't have a whole lot of time to work your way through the field, so starting up in the front, definitely going to be something that you want to try and do as much as you possibly can here. So with Micah Hendricks still your leader here in qualifying, Logan McKenzie Still looking to get back into that second or even first place position now that Edward Gorman has moved into that second place spot. The top three are the top three fighting for the championship, and Micah Hendricks again having probably the easiest route here to that championship, to that cup, if you will, the virtual cup that will be awarded to Micah Hendricks after the race is all said and done at the award ceremony. But for Micah Hendricks, again, this is a lot, I guess you could say a lot of pressure. Any mistakes can be quite costly, but again, given Micah Hendricks' performance, mistakes not really a part of Micah's game. We're looking at Jason Landry now, currently moving himself up to the top of qualifying with a 1:30.347, holding on to provisional pole in less than 5 minutes left to go here before we see that checkered flag fly, and that will be the end of qualifying. So Jason Landry looking to come out strong here for the sprint race. Going to start out at the front of the pack if he can hold on to that position here. Only separated by less than a few thousandths of a second to Micah Hendricks for second place. That is very, very close, folks. I mean, you could probably almost fit a quarter between how close that is between these two drivers here at the moment. So with that being said, Edward Gorman moves down to third, Logan McKenzie in fourth place, Raymond 2 in the fifth place spot with the number 996 machine. And with 4 minutes left on the clock here, not a whole lot of time is going to be left here for drivers to really dial these times in. And again, as we get closer and closer to the end, the more difficult it's going to be to get these really, really fast times that we're seeing across the board here. You can see the top 19 on the left-hand side of your screens, and that is a great indicator of just how close this field really is to one another. And coming in, trying to shave off, we're talking about tenths, hundredths, thousandths of a second. It truly makes a difference. Jason Landry, you're going to be starting off at the front of the field with, if things go well here in the next 3 minutes, that will be where Jason Landry will put himself for the start of the sprint race. Micah Hendricks will be alongside him. Micah Hendricks, your current Alpha Championship leader, looking to secure that title here today. In both the sprint and the feature, it will be hard-fought battles between the top three in the championship: Micah Hendricks, Logan McKenzie, and Edward Gorman. Just a few minutes left to go here in qualifying. A few drivers coming across the line, and that is Micah Hendricks to set a new lap best with a 1:30.259. And that will put himself at the top of the at provisional pole, and putting Jason Landry in that second place spot in a very, very impressive run here from Micah Hendricks, showing that he has the prowess to take it around Laguna Seca and still be fast. Let's take a quick moment to ride on board here with Micah Hendricks just to show you just how quick these drivers truly are. It is quite incredible. You can see the control here from Micah as well. Just riding on the very, very edge here. Great execution through the hairpin. Let's see if that's going to be an improved time here from Micah. Not quite, a little bit slower that time, but still very, very quick here. And I think that is going to be what separates Micah from really a lot of drivers here, but he also has some very stiff competition here. Excuse me as we get things a little wonky doodled here. Fix things up here just a quick second. But with that being said, just a few moments left here in qualifying, and that will conclude it here with under 30 seconds left to go. Edward Gorman going to try and get a flying lap in here. Does not quite look like he's going to try and finish that one. Jason Landry out here on track, as well as a handful of other drivers. And there it is. The checkered flag is waved. And now drivers will get themselves down to the starting grid and lined up and ready to go. And let's go ahead and run through our starting grid. Micah Hendricks, Jason Landry up in the front row with Logan McKenzie, Edward Gorman in your second row. Francois Schenk, Raymond 2 in the third row. Matt Repka and John Lazan taking up your fourth row. Kevin Clark, Eric Statzer in the fifth row. David Bauer and Damon Mitchell taking up our sixth row here today. Moving on down the grid, Jeffrey O'Rourke, Jesse Olson taking up your seventh row. Trevor Lambert and Connor Acatella in your eighth row. William Brennan, Zach Perry in your ninth row. Adam Hartzell and August Blondel in your 10th row. Dom Savio, Kevin Ty in your 11th row. And Dustin Rand, Ryan Skolny in your 12th row. And that will round out our field here today. 24 drivers getting ready to round out season number 8 of the Alpha Touring Challenge. It has been a phenomenal season, and let's see how this excellent race is going to go for these drivers as they gear up for what will be probably one of the most exciting races that I personally have had the privilege to commentate over, and frankly, I am excited for. Just about 30 seconds left to go before the green flag drops, and we get ready to kick the action off here for the final round, again, of season number 8, the Alpha Touring Challenge. Micah Hendricks, Logan McKenzie, Edward Gorman fighting for the Alpha Championship. Who will take it away after our sprint and feature race? Just a few seconds left before the green flag and the lights go out here for the first time here at Laguna Seca. There it is, getting ready to go. Drivers on the loud pedal. And here we go. It is a scramble off the line. Multiple drivers trying to get a jump on the field early on. 3 wide in some spots. Let's take it up to the blimp camera, see if we can spot anything from above as we head into turn 1. Drivers going door to door all over, but mostly safe and sound for the most part. No one getting pushed off into the sand here. But Micah Hendricks holding on to that lead here still at the moment. Jason Landry, Logan McKenzie fighting for that second place position. Landry holds on just by the skin of his teeth as Logan McKenzie right on the tail of Landry. Looking on further back in the field, we have even more action developing, but we will keep up with the leaders at this moment as Logan McKenzie, Jason Landry now have switched positions. It is now McKenzie in second. For Team Yellow Flag Motorsports, they are looking to take away not only the team championship, but also the Drivers' Championship here as well, with Logan McKenzie's name written all over it. McKenzie off to a phenomenal start here. Back into that second place position, and now trying to reel in Micah Hendricks, who currently they are about equal pace with Micah at this point in time, and that is to be expected here as they are still getting their tires warmed up here. And getting tires up to temperature is going to be a crucial aspect of this race here, as well as tire management. Fuel management, not so much, as there is only going to be about 20 minutes of racing here today, so they don't have to necessarily worry too much about fuel. Looking on further back in the field, we have a couple battles that are forming. Most of the drivers going single file here at this moment, just trying to get themselves settled in. Not trying to be too aggressive early on here, but also you want to make sure that you are trying to push. As we see David Bauer here going a little off track there for a moment, recovering well, and there is a contact made to Kevin Clark. That sends him off into the gravel, and he's going to have a heck of a time getting back onto the track here and back up to pace here, as the rest of the field is going to scramble on past him. We've got a couple drivers looking to go too wide here in some situations. Trevor Lambert, one of them here, looks to the outside of Eric Statzer of Team Yellow Flag Motorsports. Trevor Lambert flashing the headlights saying, hey man, I have the faster line, let me on by. And Trevor Lambert's going to hold on to that line. He's going to try and contain this pace here and try not to give up that position too easily. Back up front in the 4th place position, Edward Gorman, the 137 machine, sitting in 4th place here at the moment, getting chased down by Francois Schink. Just under a half a second between these two drivers. The number 18 driver for Curb Your Enthusiasm Autosports trying to reel in Edward here at this moment. And now again, if you'll remember, folks, Edward Gorman looking for a, well, here in the sprint race, here in the feature, I mean, realistically, you have 2 chances for points. Now, one is obviously going to offer more points than the other. However, it's not the end of the world if you don't get, first place in the sprint race and, finish poorly in the feature. Well, I guess that does kind of affect you a bit. But point being, you have a second chance to come back and recover. And also remembering as well, you have that, I believe that's the top 8 that is inverted going into the feature race. So you have to bear that in mind, even though you might not finish in the top 5. Or even in, well, if you do finish 8th here in the sprint, you'll start in the front row, but it's a matter of can you hold that throughout the 30 minutes of that feature. That is where the challenge comes in for a lot of drivers, as some drivers here, they have a great short run pace, but once it starts to come down to that long run pace, that is where things start to get a little bit dicey. We can see that here going into the feature. We won't see that too much here in the sprint race. However, that feature race we will see after about the 20-minute mark is where that fade, I believe, is where it'll start to be a little bit more obvious. But we've seen it in the past where drivers have really been able to kind of be a breath of fresh air for one another after they've been isolated for so long on the track. They finally find someone else to get alongside with, and that generally, sometimes, most of the time, I would say, starts to improve the pace of that driver. At least it does for me whenever I'm racing around the track and I feel like I'm going slow and someone else comes up on me, and, well, have to make sure that they don't pass me, so now I gotta start going faster. Tuning along here with Jesse Olsen, the number 16 driver, trying to fend off David Bauer, the number 35 driver for Team Breakfast for Dinner. Team Breakfast for Dinner did finish 3rd in the team championship, doing quite well. Getting 1 win to their name, 1 pole, 1 top 5. and led a total of 41 laps. Curb Your Enthusiasm having an absolutely incredible, I believe I'm reading these correctly, and hopefully someone will correct me if I'm not, but Curb Your Enthusiasm coming away with 4 wins, 4 poles, 13 top 5s, and 118 laps led. Yellow Flag Motorsports, however, again coming away with the win, not having any wins, 2 pole positions, 1 top 5, and 39 laps led. But you'll have to remember, folks, here as well, that for Curb Your Enthusiasm Autosport, you have to remember this guy right here, Micah Hendricks, is the reason that a lot of those stats that I just read off for Team Curb Your Enthusiasm, he's the reason for a lot of them. So you have to bear that in mind. Can't always go stat padding. Well, that's not the right term I should use there. You can't always just look at the stats. That's not always the right way to go about it. But point being here, Yellow Flag Motorsports has had a very consistent season across their entire team. Most of them coming away with top 5s, top 10s, maybe top 15s, whatever the case might be. And Logan McKenzie as well being a very, very strong runner in that group as well. But for Team Yellow Flag Motorsports, Eric Statzer, Connor Rackatella being 2 of the drivers that have been the most consistent here. As we tune along with them, Eric Statzer goes off track for just a moment to get around Adam Hartzell. Successful maneuver, but very dangerous as Hartzell gets up to the rear end. They're locking bumpers. Hartzell now looks to the inside, or rather here going into this turn, the outside. Statzer is going to hold on to this position here, the 13th position. Hartzell going to continue this fight here, and a very exciting one here, getting right up to the tail end of Statzer. And as I was talking about the teammates of Yellow Flag Motorsports, Eric Statzer being one of them, Connor Rackatella just ahead of him in 12th place, also one of those drivers for Yellow Flag Motorsports who have, again, been very consistent and very helping as a team, and contributing to the points and making sure that they're coming away with the best positions that they can. And as a whole, that has significantly helped them in the team championship. So Statzer doing a phenomenal job holding off Hartzell, as well as Trevor Lambert, as well as Dom Savio, as they start to reel in these 2 drivers and starting to make things kind of a four-driver battle, a 4-car battle, if you will. Back here towards the top, well, really the 15th position. We'll call it 13th position, given that's where Eric Statzer is currently sitting. You can see Connor Rackatella just a little further up ahead, and currently got clean air ahead of himself, so he doesn't have much to worry about other than just hitting his marks and staying fast here, with now surpassing the halfway mark of the sprint race here today. So at this point, it really starts to come down to, again, the whole concept of tire management. That is where this is going to really start to play a part. Tires are going to be pretty well degraded at this point. Not exactly unusable, obviously. They're still racing on them. But you're going to start to feel the effects of that tire starting to degrade a little bit, and that is where the paces really start to come down. Just a titch, not a lot, just a titch. And if you're not careful, again, especially here at Laguna, it is going to eat you up and spit you right back out. So with that being said, let's take a quick moment here. I want to ride on board with, let's go with Raymond 2 here for just a moment and just have a little look-see-loo at a lap here with Raymond 2, the 996 driver, and just kind of get an idea of what it's like in a touring car here at Laguna Seca and what it takes to make a full lap here, competing for a top 5 position. That was a ride on board with Raymond 2, the 996 driver, holding on to that 6th place spot at the moment. Here in the sprint race with just about 7 minutes left to go before we see that checkered flag wave. Micah Hendricks, your current race leader. He has built himself up to about a 3-second gap to Logan McKenzie, who sits in that 2nd place spot. Jason Landry in 3rd, who started off in that 2nd place spot, has kind of swapped positions here with Logan. However, is still staying within under a second of Logan McKenzie here at the moment, trying to reel it into under a half a second at this time, but is floating to just about 6 to 7 tenths of a second here at this moment. A little bit further back, we've actually got a good battle starting to develop here between Jesse Olsen and Jeffrey O'Royan. Battle for 10th place here between this number 16 and the 233 machines, as it comes to just under a quarter of a second for a moment there. Coming back down, going back over a quarter of a second there for just a moment, as Jeffrey trying to dial it in here, trying to get himself as close as he can, trying to set himself up for a good pass here. Laguna Seca is not exactly an easy track to make passes happen at. You really have to kind of play head games with your competitors, really get into their heads, and also put yourself in the right place, right time. Be aggressive going in to a lot of turns, just really like we're seeing here from Jeffrey O'Royan. He is not afraid to get right up to the tail of Jesse Olsen there, staying right up on the bumper. Here as now we head through the corkscrew, and a lot of drivers here have done phenomenally well on this track so far. Haven't seen too many hiccups here tonight as far as off-track incidents are concerned. Now, for iRacing, for those of you that don't know, iRacing has an off-track counter. And basically, it's any time that you exceed the track limits, you get an off-track penalty. It's you usually only get one. I'm pretty sure it's only one. I think I'm thinking of incident points, but we won't get into that right now. You go off track, you get a point. Plain and simple. And right now, the most points that we have right now from one driver is 5, and that is from Jesse Olsen here in the number 16. So, with that being said, it is not exactly like we're seeing drivers skidding off track and spinning out, going off track on their own. Maybe we've had some drivers that have done that, and we just haven't caught it on camera. I'm sure they're probably wiping their brow for that. But needless to say, everyone has done phenomenally well. Everyone is staying very consistent here, trying to just stay calm, trying to keep things steady here going into the final 4 minutes of the sprint race and getting themselves ready for the action heading into the feature. And with Micah Hendricks still holding on to that lead spot, I don't think he's going to lose it anytime soon here unless something catastrophic happens. But Logan McKenzie, on the other hand, he is going to have his work cut out for him here with 3 minutes, just about 3 minutes left to go here with Jason Landry. I mean, he has not left that 04 machine's tail in quite some time. I don't think hardly at all ever since Logan McKenzie overtook Landry in the opening laps. Landry has since been all over the tail of McKenzie, and Logan's done a phenomenal job of not letting it get to him. He has stayed calm and steady, just staying consistent, clicking off these laps, and we've seen this from McKenzie quite often, actually, where he's just kind of ignores it. Doesn't he pretend? Oh, you could almost say, excuse me, you could almost say that he just pretends that the driver's not even there, and that's honestly a great thing to have as a driver. Not reading your mirrors too deeply is definitely something that that a lot of drivers could try and learn from, because it gets in your head sometimes. You see that car just kind of angrily buzzing around in your rear view mirror, and it gets to you sometimes. But a lot of drivers have to learn to ignore it And that what sets a lot of drivers apart from the good ones. The great ones, I should say. Now with 2 minutes left to go, Jason Landry starting to dial it up here, it seems like, as he really seemed like he was making a push there on the front straight. And back here as well with Jesse Olsen and Jeffrey Arroyan for the battle in 10th. Same thing is starting to happen between these two drivers. Landry backing off of McKinsey there for, well, a moment. And Arroyan looking to the inside of Olsen. That 233 machine is looking for a spot here in the top 10 with 1 minute left to go, the final round of Season 8 of the Alpha Touring Challenge, the final sprint race. And Arroyan is looking to put himself in a good starting position heading into the feature race here today. A 10th place spot. It's definitely going to be a good one if he can pull it off here. Staying right up to the tail of Olsen. Olsen staying very consistent, very clean. But Arroyan doing a fantastic job of applying the pressure here. Less than 15 seconds to go. And the heat is only dialing up for both of these drivers. One mistake can cost them everything. Well, at least a position. And it looks to be Olsen's going to hold it steady and true all the way to the checkered line. And Arroyan is going to have to settle for an 11th place position as Olsen securing that 10th place spot. And actually, it looks like there was not a checkered flag waved as Arroyan looks to the inside of Olsen. And in he goes to 10th. The top 10 for Arroyan is there. The 233, after fighting for so long, now has his spot in the top 10 going into the feature. If he can hold it out here for what I imagine will be the last lap coming up here fairly soon, I would have to imagine. And here is some dicey action between David Bauer and Damon Mitchell. Side by side, almost door to door. Mitchell gets to the inside of David Bauer, bangs the wheels for just a moment. And that's going to allow Bauer to get out up ahead, but the fight is not over yet. As David Bauer gets just over a quarter of a second. Damon Mitchell out of the final turn. Not quite going to have it this time around. As there's the checkered flag. Logan McKenzie, the rest of the field slowly making their way across the checkered line. And that's going to conclude a very, very interesting sprint race here today. I mean, Micah Hendricks definitely made it seem like a very, very easy kind of race here today. Logan McKenzie, Jason Landry definitely putting on an exciting show here for the sprint race. Exciting to see, or at least exciting to think about what's going to happen heading into the feature race as we now get a potential opportunity to maybe talk to some drivers here for some interviews. We'll have to wait and see if that's going to happen here, but a very, very great way to kind of end off the sprint race here for Micah Hendricks. I mean, he's going to come away with some very good points for that finish here. Logan McKenzie coming away with that second place spot. Logan is definitely looking he's looking for those points. And again, you have to remember, folks, Micah Hendricks only needs 29 points to secure that spot, to secure that championship. So Micah Hendricks only needs to finish 6th place or better heading into this feature race in order to come away with that W. With that trophy for the Alpha Touring Championship. And, I mean, Logan McKenzie as well. He's putting up a heck of a fight here. Both of these drivers, they're going to have their positions inverted heading into that feature race. So there is a potential that things could get a little interesting going into the feature for these two. But I think once they get through the first couple laps, they're going to have a few, it's going to be a little bit of traffic they're going to have to navigate through and eventually get out ahead of. But once they do, it's going to be nothing but just clicking off laps for both of these drivers. Now, as far as I could be wrong. I want to say it's the top 8 that's inverted. I keep saying that, but David Bauer and Matt Repka going to be starting off in the front row. Francois Schenck and Raymond Tu in that second row. Jason Landry and Edward Gorman in that third row. And Micah Hendricks and Logan McKenzie starting off in the fourth row. So for David Bauer, for Matt Repka, that's going to be an excellent opportunity for themselves to get out, to get a chance to start off in the front of the pack and be able to see what they can do out there. Francois Schenck, Edward Gorman, I mean, they're also going to be in relatively good positions. I'm particularly interested to see what Edward Gorman is going to do heading into the feature here. Gorman's got great pace. We've seen it in the past. He's a very fast driver, and with himself being in that third place spot, I don't know what the chances are of him coming away with a win for the Alpha Championship, but it's fun to kind of guesstimate here. Fun to well, maybe hope that we could see an underdog kind of win happen here in the final round of Season 8 of the Alpha Touring Challenge, but it is yet to be seen. We'll have to wait and see what's going to happen heading into our feature race. But for the time being, right now, it is a warm-up session. Only 2 minutes left before we get back to the action here, and we see the green flag drop here once again here for the Alpha Touring Challenge, going into, again, our feature event. 30 minutes that we will see here at Laguna Seca to round out the final round here of the Alpha Touring Challenge. And folks, I think it's going to be a very exciting race. Well, it's going to be overall a great way to end off the season here at Laguna Seca. And for Micah Hendricks, for Logan McKenzie, and for Edward Gorman, I think it's going to be an exciting opportunity here to really put on a good show for everyone watching at home, and for all the drivers to come back to and rewatch and just enjoy some of the action after the fact. Just a minute left to go before we get back down to the starting grid, and it will just be 1 short minute after that before the lights are counted out, and we go back to racing here at Laguna Seca for the last time for this season. And there it is. The checkered flag is waved here for our warm-up session for drivers to get themselves back into the groove of things and ready to go for our feature event. And let's go through our starting lineup here for the feature race of the final round, round number 12. Season number 8 of the Alpha Touring Challenge. Up at the front row, Jeffrey Arroyo, Damon Mitchell, David Bauer, and Matt Repka taking up your second row. Raymond 2, Francois Schenck taking up your third row with Edward Gorman, Jason Landry in the fourth row, Logan McKenzie and Micah Hendricks in our fifth row, and Jesse Olsen and Connor Acatella taking up our sixth row. Moving on down the lineup, Eric Statzer, Adam Hartzell in our seventh row, Dom Savio, Trevor Lambert in our eighth row, Dustin Rand and Zach Perry in the... Oh, never mind. We go to racing here already. And let's check in with the field. And it is going to be a dicey start. Damon Mitchell, David Bauer, Matt Repka, Jeffrey Arroyo, 3 wide. The battle for second place, and Damon Mitchell having just enough clean air to get away from all of this catastrophe. Matt Repka goes off track. And now Francois Schenck trying to get in on some of the action here as the top 3 have managed to get a little bit of distance between themselves and the rest of the field, heading up to the blimp camera, checking in on some more of the action developing as we are right in the middle of our opening lap here. Most of the drivers have found a little bit of room to work with, but you can still see drivers tail to tail, door to door. All just depends on where you're looking, and we are trying to see it all as best as we can. But there is a lot happening at this moment. Locked on here with Logan McKenzie, Edward Gorman, Jason Landry, all trying to fight their way through the field here as they head down through the corkscrew. And already trouble back here. I believe that was Jesse Olsen, number 16 driver, getting a little dicey there out of on the exit, the very bottom of the corkscrew. It seemed like it might have started before that. Luckily, he was able to recover from that one and keep things moving along. As most of the field has now developed that single file lineup, and it is now going to be a matter of putting those heads down, clicking off laps, staying consistent, capitalizing on those mistakes of the drivers ahead of you, and well, hold on to your hats, because now the next 28 minutes are going to be very intense for a lot of this field. And for Damon Mitchell and for David Bauer, this will be their opportunity to see if they can develop a little bit of airtime between themselves and Francois Schenck and the rest of the field. Francois holding on to that third place spot with Jeffrey Arroyo sitting just behind him in that fourth place position and not too far behind him either. But between Damon Mitchell, David Bauer, there's about a second and a half between Francois Schenck. I don't know if I already mentioned that. I might have just said that twice, but now you know. For sure, for sure. But things are mostly settled out here for a good chunk of this field. We have a lot of close drivers, but again, as I've mentioned already in the sprint, passing is not an easy thing to accomplish here. You are definitely going to be looking for any mistakes the drivers ahead of you, as we are going to ride on board here for just a moment with Jason Landry, getting a good look here at some of the closer battles that we've had here at Laguna Seca for round number 12, the championship round, as we'll call it here for the time being. And just a great pack of drivers. And look how clean the line is from every single one of these drivers. I mean, it is just stellar. So now Damon Mitchell, David Bauer, they are still nose to tail. David Bauer going to look to the outside, not quite going to be able to make it happen this time around. David Bauer staying right on the tail of our leader, trying to shake him as much as he can. Excuse me. And Francois Schink looks to the inside of David Bauer, moving up into the second place position. Francois Schink with an incredible move to the inside of David Bauer, and it is just a textbook move here from Francois, and putting on a performance here for himself and for Curb Your Enthusiasm Autosport, doing a phenomenal job holding on to the second place position. But it is still very early in this race, and a lot of the field still very close to one another. Not seeing as much separation this early on as we did going into the sprint race. Things very, very close here still between a lot of this field, and you can see the bunch up starting to develop here, as it was only Damon Mitchell and Francois Schink for a moment, but now it's turned into what looks to be about the top 7 that have all formed a pack here. And Logan McKenzie sitting in that 5th place spot. He is certainly enjoying this at the moment, as right now Micah Hendricks sitting in that 9th place position. He's going to have a little bit more work ahead of him, but looking to the inside of Raymond 2, he's going to take that position away for 8th place. And that's going to be just one position less that Micah now needs to work through. And now ahead of him is Jason Landry. But still beyond that, it is going to be a tough battle to get back up to the front here. Again, passing still not an easy thing to accomplish here. And Micah Hendricks going to have to do everything in his power, not only to defend, but also to put the pressure on the drivers ahead of him. And to be fair, he's got some strong drivers ahead of him at this point in time. Logan McKenzie with that 6th place position right now. Again, if you'll remember, Micah Hendricks, that is ideally where he would want to be to come away with the championship here for the Alpha Championship. Will he be the one to do so? Remains to be seen here. Again, he still has that as he does the switcheroo on Jason Landry, and wow, just makes it happen here for Micah Hendricks. Moves up into 7th, and now it's Logan McKenzie going to be in the crosshairs of Micah Hendricks. And Matt Repka in the chat. I don't know how long ago he sent this. I was not checking. Oh, wow. On lap 1, Matt Repka having a big old oopsie moment. Let's take a quick look here and see what happened to Matt Repka. Oh, no. So nothing too severe here, but he did have quite a loss of position by going off into the dirt here, so I think that might be what he's referring to. I don't see any major incident reports here, so I would have to imagine that's what he's referring to. And I do feel for Matt. That is a very tough break. Unfortunately, it happens to the best of us. And unfortunately for Matt, it seemed like it was his day for it to happen to himself. Damon Mitchell, however, still able to hold on to his lead spot, while Francois Schenck still trying to fend off not only David Bauer and Edward Gorman, but also put the pressure on Damon Mitchell here as well. And looking back here, you can also see Micah Hendricks and Logan McKenzie starting to get in, starting to reel one another in, or at least Hendricks starting to reel in McKenzie. And it's going to be very interesting to see here what McKenzie's going to have in store for Hendricks. These two really going to be the ones to kind of look out for now, given that Micah Hendricks did come away with that win for the sprint race. Going into the feature here, I would almost have to imagine that if there isn't any contact going through the corkscrew, that McKenzie would need a couple positions over Hendricks in order to really solidify that championship spot. But frankly, I'm not 100% certain on how many positions he would need or how many points he would need exactly to make this happen here for himself. And even the same goes for Edward Gorman as well. If you'll recall, Gorman only about, I believe it was 6 points behind McKenzie in third place for the Alpha Championship. So not a whole lot of big difference between these three drivers. And again, I think it would take a few positions to really solidify, because between, I got to go back and look here again because I already forgot. Between McKenzie and Micah Hendricks, and because I'm bad at math, it's roughly about 40 points in that neighborhood. About 40 points separating these two. So with that being said, they really are going to be looking to score some good points here across the board. David Bauer starting to get the pressure applied on him as Damon Mitchell, seeing that pressure being applied, he drops down to third place. David Bauer, now your race leader. Francois Schenck trying to get in on some of the action here as well. And you can also see Edward Gorman up here. He's looking in on some of this action as well. Gorman, if you'll remember, third place in the Alpha Drivers Championship. He currently looking at trying to get up to the lead. If he can get to the inside of Damon Mitchell, sends Damon Mitchell a little sideways into the gravel. Mitchell's going to fall back to fifth place, and that's going to open up the door for McKenzie and Micah Hendricks. Now going to be separated even further from the lead after Damon Mitchell falling back into that fifth place position, and it looks like even Landry might starting to be reeling back in. Hendricks here and may potentially put some pressure down here on Hendricks, but we'll have to wait and see. Landry's been strong in the sprint race. Looking dicey here going into the corkscrew. It's definitely looking bold there for a moment, but not quite committing completely to that one, and for good reason. You could start to see both cars getting rather squirrely there as Micah Hendricks saw that door being open and wanted to quickly close it back shut. Edward Gorman, Logan McKenzie battling for the third place position. Gorman, 137 machine, still trying to fend off McKenzie, but holding on to that third place position, and it has moved up 4 spots from where he started here in the feature, having his position inverted, as well as the top 8 having their positions inverted going into this feature. So Francois Schink, Edward Gorman both having moved up 4 spots here in the top 3. Logan McKenzie moving up 5 spots in that 4th place position. Damon Mitchell, the only driver in the top 5 who has unfortunately moved down positions and has moved down from 2nd into that 5th place spot. David Bauer seeing the pressure from Francois Schink as he looks to the inside, gets a bumper tap, but nothing else coming from it, but that's going to slow them down enough for Edward Gorman. And McKenzie is, whoa, Tokyo Drift, just a little bit back behind them. Micah Hendricks, Jason Landry, Raymond 2, and Damon Mitchell all in a tight battle here. It's honestly difficult to choose who to look at as there is just action all over this racetrack at this point in time. Micah Hendricks, Jason Landry, they're both going to go side. Well, nope, that's Landry and Raymond 2. And Damon Mitchell also looking in on some of the action here. Landry going to be able to stay out ahead of these 2 drivers. Mitchell still to the inside of Raymond 2. That's going to put Raymond behind him. There it is. Mitchell going to hold on to that 7th place position, not trying to lose any further spots than he already has. Connor Acatella and Jesse Olsen. Be a bit of a battle here for the 10th place position. Damon Mitchell and Raymond 2, they're still going at it for 7th. Raymond is really, really pushing this one here. Raymond looking to put himself into that 7th place position as best as he can, as we've surpassed that halfway mark just a little while ago. And it's coming down to, it's going to be coming down to really the difficult part of the race, where tire management is going to really start to show its face, as well as that long run pace that I was talking about earlier. Drivers who are not comfortable with that long run pace, that is where this is the time that it's going to start to show as drivers start to fall down the grid. And we'll see some drivers start to move up the grid and even start to outpace a lot of the field here after saving tires, being careful with how often, being careful with how hot they get their tires is the best way to kind of describe it here, making sure they're not burning off too much rubber too quickly and saving enough for the end of the race. Raymond 2, Damon Mitchell, Jeffrey Arroyan down through the corkscrew in just about a half a second, separating these 3 drivers here at the moment. David Bauer, Francois Schink, Edward Gorman, Logan McKenzie, and Micah Hendricks, your top 5, all within a half a second of each other at this moment. And Bauer starting to feel that pressure from Francois Schink, as he is just under a quarter of a second, and a bump to the rear end. From Francois Schink to David Bauer, a little tap to the bumper, nothing else coming from it, however. And looked to be that Francois might have backed off there for a second as well, just to kind of build a little bit of space there for a second to recalculate himself. But either way, Francois Schink having incredible pace here at the moment. Edward Gorman as well. Logan McKenzie, Micah Hendricks, I mean, it all just speaks for itself. David Bauer at this moment, the only thing he's going to be looking for is just distance. He's going to be looking for as much room between himself and the rest of this field as he can possibly gather. Realistically speaking, he's going to want to try and build it up as much as he can, but with how close everyone is right now and with the caliber of drivers he's got behind him, that is not likely to happen. So Bauer's going to have to be very, very careful here, very cautious, and continue to try and stay consistent here. He's been doing well, very well so far, and with now less than 10 minutes left to go, I mean, the light at the end of the tunnel is still there, and it's not getting dimmer. It's actually getting brighter here for Bauer. It's just a matter of, can he keep that pace up? Right now it's showing that, according to timing and scoring, he's slowly starting to come away from Francois Schenck and friends, but how long that trend will be the case remains to be seen. Coming back here, the battle for 15th as Kevin Ty, the 997, holding it off quite well here. And it was close there for a second. It looks like they got a little bit of distance right as we got the cameras tuned on them. They might have felt it and said, oh, nope, 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 nope. Not on camera, not on camera. But these drivers doing very well, staying very consistent here as well, keeping themselves in the race. And it looks like we're going to have a pit stop here from Adam Hartzell. The number 10 driver going to make a quick pit stop here. I could be wrong in the assumption that they all will use the same set of tire. Yeah, nope, we're definitely not going to see that happen. It looks like Zach Perry's going to take a set of tires, potentially. Nope, he's actually out of the race here. Adam Hartzell also coming down into pit road. Not sure if there's an issue with his vehicle or what the case might be, but he's coming down into the pits regardless. It looks like Hartzell only taking a drive-through, it seems like, not actually taking a full pit stop. As Bauer, Francois Schenck, Edward Gorman, Micah Hendricks continue to fight it out here for the lead spot. And you can see the Curb Your Enthusiasm drivers in full effect here, as Edward Gorman makes a move up into the second place spot, but Francois Schenck, with the help of his teammate Micah Hendricks, the push is being made into turn one. Gorman gonna have the inside line advantage going into this turn. The left-hander going to give the advantage to Gorman, as he's now gonna be able to set himself up into the right-hander of turn two. And it's now going to be Gorman, Francois Schenck, Micah Hendricks, your 2, 3, and 4 positions at the moment. David Bauer still leading this race, and not quite the gap that he was maybe hoping for, but almost 3/4 of a second between himself and Edward Gorman. Again, maybe not quite as much as he was hoping for, but with about 6 minutes left to go, I think that's more than what you can ask for at this moment, as Francois Schenck and McKenzie, they flirt with danger for a moment. Francois Schenck takes the short stick, and he is unfortunately now going to find himself over 2.5 seconds to the top 5. Bringing that 6-car battle down to a 5-car battle, and Francois Schenck definitely going to be kicking himself in the rear for that incident there. Still in the race, but definitely not going to be happy with the result of that bit of contact there. And with about 5 minutes left to go, the chances of trying to mitigate that and trying to recover from that are going to be, I hate to say it, but slim to none. So now 5 minutes left to go, and Connor Acatella, Jesse Olsen fighting for that 9th place position. It's one of the closest battles that we have on the track at the moment, aside from the drivers in the lead. And David Bauer starting to feel the heat. Edward Gorman in that 2nd place position, and Micah Hendricks in 3rd. I think, regardless, however, Micah Hendricks, I think, is going to come away with the Alpha Championship wherever he ends up in these final few moments. As long as he can keep himself in the top 3, I think he's going to come away with that championship regardless. Edward Gorman, I think, is definitely making a very valiant effort and might even potentially take away that 2nd place position in the championship from Logan McKenzie. The verdict is out on that one. We will have to wait and see until after the race is all said and done to verify that. But at the time being, Edward Gorman trying everything in his power to reel back in the race leader of David Bauer as we approach 3 minutes left to go, and the clock is only winding down. I'm sure for drivers it might feel like maybe an eternity, but it is going to blink by faster than they possibly expect here, as right now this is where mistakes can make or break you. Let's ride on board here with Logan McKenzie for just a moment here in these final few moments, just to get an outside perspective of all of this and see if Logan McKenzie in these final moments is going to make a push to get back even further up in this top 5. Less than 2 minutes left to go. And it's really, the consistency of these drivers is just absolutely incredible. Neither one of these drivers has made a single mistake in the past few laps. And that is not, again, passing is already a difficult thing here at Laguna, but compile that with drivers basically clicking off equal lap times to one another. It's just very astonishing to see just how close this race is between the top 5 and just how close to one another they actually are. A minute left to go. You can see the flag man waving that white flag the last lap here at Laguna Seca. There you can see the flagman there in the background, just casually waving that flag away. And this will be the last chance to dance here for these drivers, for this field. Jeffrey Arroyo, John Lazan, they look for some final lap actions here. Jeffrey Arroyo to the inside. He's going to try and hold on to that 11th place position. And John Lazan staying right on the tail as best as he can. David Bauer going to be in trouble as Gorman looks to the inside, trying to take away the lead. Not quite going to have it this time around, but now Micah Hendricks going to go alongside Edward Gorman, going to try and take away the second place position, and with that, going to get alongside David Bauer for the lead through the corkscrew, door to door. David Bauer, Hendricks going at it, fighting tooth and nail as they come through the final few turns. David Bauer, Hendricks separated by mere inches, and Hendricks giving it everything that he's got here. Bauer gonna send it all the way through the final turn, door to door, wheel to wheel, but Bauer's gonna be the one to come out on top as he comes across the line and takes it away for the win. Micah Hendricks comes away in second place, and Edward Gorman coming away in that third place spot, but Gorman, I believe, might have had an issue there. We'll get into that here in a little bit, but I think Gorman might have been waved a black flag of some kind. I'm not 100% certain on that right now, but either way, what a finish from these drivers. Absolutely fantastic. Incredible finish, and what a way to end off the season here for season number 8 of the Alpha Touring Challenge. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. So as drivers come across the line and finish things out here today, we are going to go ahead and get ready for our post-race interviews as drivers get back down to the pits and get themselves over to the broadcast booth. And wow, just what an absolutely incredible finish. Let's take a quick look at our post-race results here as well. For those of you that would like to see where your favorite driver finished, and just to take a look at where everyone finished here today: David Bauer, Micah Hendricks, your top 2 drivers. Actually, if we can look at the feature race here, that would be the correct one to look at. David Bauer coming away with the win. Micah Hendricks in that second place spot. Edward Gorman in third. Logan McKenzie coming away with that 4th place position. Jason Landry in 5th. Francois Schenck in that 6th place position. Raymond 2, who we just saw slam himself into the garages. Coming away in 7th, Damon Mitchell in 8th place. Connor Acatella coming away in that 9th place spot. Jesse Olson in 10th place. Jeffrey Arroyo in 11th. John Lazan in 12th place. Kevin Ty in 13th. Dustin Rand in that 14th place position. Eric Statzer in 15th. Dom Savio in 16th. Adam Hartzell in 17th. Zach Perry coming away in 18th. And rounding out the field, drivers who did not complete the race here today: Trevor Lambert in 19th. Matt Repka. Trevor Lambert did complete the race. Matt Repka in 20th. William Brennan in 21st. Kevin Clark 22nd. Auguste Blondel in 23rd. And Ryan Skolny in 24th. That is going to round out our field here today and conclude the action for today. And we're still waiting to see if we're going to have any drivers that are going to make their way up to the broadcast, up to the waiting room here, and see if we're going to get any post-race interviews in here. But, folks, I got to tell you, it was an action-packed race here tonight, and a lot of great racing that was seen throughout the night here. So I hope everyone that was watching here tonight enjoyed the action, enjoyed what they saw, because I frankly hope to get to come back and cover more of the Alpha Touring Challenge and get to see you folks more again next season. But we have a driver up in the waiting room ready to get an interview in here. Micah Hendricks going to be joining us up here in the booth. Micah, welcome. Congratulations on not only a win for the for the sprint race, but also a second place finish going into the feature. And I would have to imagine, Micah, that's going to solidify your Alpha Championship. And Micah, I mean, how does it feel right now, knowing that you're the guy to come away with the championship? You are the guy to beat all season long, and now you can prove it. Now you're the one going into next season with a little bit of a target on your back, and maybe a little bit of an expectation to do it again.
Yeah, no, it feels like really, really good. After the heat race, had really strong pace, and just going into the feature, I knew the numbers I had to meet to make it happen, and I didn't want to just meet the numbers, I wanted to exceed the numbers, so I had 10x on the last lap, so fighting there for the win was a little bit harrowing, but I looked through the time deltas, and even if I did pick up a 40-second penalty, I was well within the points range to make it happen.
Well, Micah, I mean, you put on a heck of a performance tonight, and I think even despite, let me just put it like this, even if things were a little bit different, even if you were fighting, for the lead or for 8th place or whatever it might be, it was still a heck of a race, not only from yourself, but from Edward Gorman, Logan McKenzie, David Bauer as well, putting on a great performance here in the feature. Just all around, everyone doing a great job here at Laguna. Now that the season's over, now that you've dominated this season, what's kind of the goals for next season? What do you hope to accomplish going into next year? Do you hope to see yourself and your team continue to improve and try and solidify even maybe a team championship going into next year?
I think in the off season be relaxing a little bit. Just kind of taking. Now I have Monday nights for the next 2 weeks to not play iRacing, so I don't know what I'll do with myself. But no, just like you kind of touched on, just great shout out to everybody that the last 3 laps is just incredible racing. A couple 0x's, but I think it's about as clean as anybody could ask for. Jason and Logan, Edward, David. I was just all so much fun. So really just buzzed right now. I'm so happy. Just all the long 12 long weeks of fighting really, really quick people, and Logan's always got the edge just to get through some stuff. So really, really happy to make it happen this time.
Well, Micah, it's been an absolute pleasure to get the opportunity to talk to you throughout this season and also here tonight. But Micah, before I let you go and before you crack open a well-deserved cold one and celebrate, is anyone watching the broadcast or at home in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go tonight?
I think kind of just the same as every week. My wife, she had it playing on the TV downstairs with my mother and father-in-law were here, so they were able to all watch it together, and then my family back home is probably watching, so just shout out to them for everything. And then my dad texted me every Tuesday morning asking about the race, so really fun on that end. And then shout out to my teammates from Sia Motorsports to make a good season come together, and we'll look towards the team championship next season.
Absolutely.
And then also big shout out to you. I love watching the broadcast. I usually watch them the day after, so it's just a lot of fun. Appreciate everything you do for this in the league. And one more shout out, massive shout out to Logan McKenzie. The stats that he puts out for this league is incredible. He's got stats from season 1 all the way to 8, and just everything he does is so good. The videos he makes, so massive shout out to Logan. 1 for being a great league admin, and 2 for just racing hard all season. We had a lot of fun together.
Well, Micah, thank you for joining me up here in the booth here for the last time this season. Hopefully it's not the last time forever. Hopefully we get to come back here and continue the coverage of next season. But for now, Micah, thank you for joining me up here in the booth. It was a pleasure to get a chance to talk to you before we end this season off, and good luck to you heading off into season 9, and hopefully we get to talk to you again once season 9 kicks off.
Oh yeah, I'll be there.
All right,
have a good one. Thank you.
You as well. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, folks, Micah Hendricks out of the booth, coming away with 2nd place here tonight, and that is going to wrap up our post-race interviews here tonight, and that is also going to conclude our coverage of round number 12, season number 8 of the Alpha Touring Challenge, the championship round, the last round of the season. Folks, it has been an absolute honor and privilege to bring you all the coverage of this season. Folks, I do hope that we get to come back and bring you the coverage of Season 9, as I am certainly looking forward to it if we do get that chance. So, folks, thank you all for tuning in and watching. All of you who have tuned in, whether it be live or whether it be the afterwards. If you liked what you saw, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Catch all the action that we have here throughout the week on Team Goon Squad. As always, my name is Mason Heimball with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action 1080p 60 frames a second. And folks, I will see you all in the next one.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Fultz. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Morcel, Sean.
It looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got 3 wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 to lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.